Welcome back to my channel. I'm Joe, Smokin Joe's Pit Barbecue. On today's video, I am making a Texas-style pork and beans video inspired by Russ Jones at Smoky Ribs. Stay tuned. All right, so I've got two pork butts. They both weigh about 10 pounds a piece. Now, I'm only gonna use one for this recipe. The other one I'm just gonna smoke and save it for later. So I'm gonna show you the trimming process of my pork shoulders here. And as you can see through this window right here on this pork shoulder or pork butt, and that's really marbled. That's the bacon that's right under this fat cap. Now, I'm a firm believer that pork butts have enough fat inside that you don't need all this extra fat. So I'm gonna trim that off. Now, I like to save that bacon, and they call it the bacon, but it's just this meat with a good marbled fat on it. So I'm gonna get to that point and stop my trimming once I get to that. So you can see it there, there's another window. Again, these pork butts, pork shoulders have a ton of fat that you don't need. I see a lot of people leave it on, and that's fine. I mean, you smoke it the way you want to, right? Or trim it the way you want to. But, oh, trim it a little bit off there. What happens when you leave the fat cap on, you lose a lot of the seasoning that you put on the outside, plus you lose that bark because people don't eat this stuff. Most people don't anyway. So you lose that bark and all that seasoning, and there it goes in the trash, right? So there's a bacon right there, you can see it. So just give it a good trim most of this fat off. Leave some of it on. But definitely take most of this fat cap off. Okay, trim this fat off here. Look at that, beautiful piece. Again, you work hard to get that bark on your pork shoulder or pork butt. You don't want to lose that. Okay, here's a good chunk of fat right here. Let's take that off. And it's smoked properly, a pork shoulder, a pork butt, same thing. A lot of this fat will render off. You'll see that there'll be very little fat once you smoke, and that's what the low and slow smoking will get you. Okay. All right. So that's good. Let me take this off because that's just going to burn. Okay, real simple. Okay, got most of the bacon on there. So the rub that I'm gonna use today is this Ozark Heat from Our Butts Are Smokin'. I gotta tell you, I opened the bottle and it has pork written all over it, okay? I'm sure it's good for a ton of other meats, but definitely on pork. Now it says Ozark Heat. Don't let that fool you. It is a little, not hot. It's got a little bit of spice, okay, but nothing too crazy. It's gonna be good. This on ribs or anything pork, I think would be good. Look at that. So make sure you add enough rub. This is a big piece of meat, so it can take all this rub that you're gonna put on it. Again, I was inspired to make this video by Russ at Smoky Ribs. I gotta tell you, his Jack Daniel's brisket and beans recipe, I'm gonna leave a link up top to his channel so you can check it out after you watch this video. And I'm also gonna leave a link to his channel in the description below. Russ runs an amazing channel. I got to tell you, when my channel grows up, I want to be just like Russ. He runs an amazing channel, very smooth in his videos, just an overall good cook. You can tell he's been doing it a long time. Okay, I want to show you this process, guys, because I want to make sure that you guys know how much rub I use. So I want to cover the entire surface and add enough of it. I didn't put any binders because the surface is pretty wet. Now if your pork shoulder is a little dry, the surface, you can rub it down with a little bit of olive oil or something. There we go. Now one of the key things to smoking a pork shoulder is to put your rub on it. Okay? Put your rub on it just like this and let it sit for a while. An hour, 2 hours, even overnight if you want to. Because what that's gonna do is it's gonna give the rub enough time to penetrate into the meat and sweat out, if you will. So this will look like a glazed candy apple once it's been sitting. Let's get to the beans. All right, so let's get started on our beans. What I've got here is a tablespoon of salt, tablespoon of black pepper, tablespoon of granulated garlic, and 2 tablespoons of chili powder. Okay, put that into your beans. Now these pinto beans, this is 3 cups of pinto beans with 6 cups of water, and they have been boiling for about an hour and a half. They're not completely cooked, they're still really hard, so they're nowhere near ready. Okay, just mix that in first. Next, we've got 1 1/4 cups of onion. We got 1 bell pepper. I've got 2 poblano peppers that I roasted. And also I've got 3 jalapenos that I sliced. Okay, all of this is going inside the beans. There's the jalapenos. Left the seeds on and everything, okay? Here's the poblanos. Got the green bell pepper. This is just a medium-sized bell pepper. And then 1 1/4 cup of onions. Okay. Get that into the beans, mix it up. Oh yeah, look at that. So we need some liquid, right? We need some more liquid. So as I mentioned, this is a Texas style pork and beans, not the pork and beans that you buy in a can that we were fed as young kids. Some of you guys might like those beans, but I don't like them. So got a Lone Star beer here. Just put the whole beer in here. Just like that. Go ahead and mix that in. Oh, these are going to be delicious. Look at that. Let's go outside of the smoker. Stay tuned. All right, so I'm outside at my Yoder Frontiersman. I am running the right side of the pit at 275 degrees. Let's put the beans on. Top shelf, just like that. That's going to get some good smoke coming over the top of these beans. And I will have to probably add a little bit more water. Once it starts to condense down, I'll come and stir that about every hour or so. Let's put the pork shoulders in. All right, let's get our pork shoulders on. Top shelf, left side. Again, I'm going to be smoking at 275 degrees. Now, if you notice, this pork shoulder is kind of tapered, okay? So the smoke, I want the smoke to come over the shoulder, okay? If I were to turn this the other way where it's squared, the smoke would kind of hit this and kind of go around it and not really hit the top. So this is going to allow the smoke to go over the actual pork shoulder. And the same thing with this one. Put the flattest part of your shoulder towards that firebox site where the smoke comes over the pork shoulder. All right, we'll see you guys in about an hour and a half. Stay tuned. All right, so we're at the 2-hour mark now. Let's take a look at the pork shoulders. Oh yeah, that rub is definitely set. So I will be spritzing this a little bit. Again, I like to use apple cider vinegar and water mixed at 50%, 50-50. Just like that. You guys got to remember too that the smoke will stick to a moist or wet surface, okay? So spritzed often, especially when you're doing briskets, but again, there's a lot of fat in these pork shoulders, so I'm not worried about them drying up, but you do get a nice bark on the outside of the pork shoulder when you spritz frequently. So let's take a look at our beans. I did move the beans to the bottom, right in the middle of the smoker. You can see that they do need some water, okay? But look at that. Got a nice kind of smoke treatment on top of the beans. Everything is coming together nicely. And let me see, let me pinch one of these beans. They're still hard, okay? So they're nowhere near being done. I'm thinking we're still probably 3 hours away from these beans being done. But I am going to add some water because the water has come down a little bit. All right, so I had 3 cups of water. You know, I'm going to go ahead and add all 3 cups because I know I'm going to need it. These beans will absorb a ton of water. I got to tell you that they smell amazing with that beer in there and all the ingredients. Now, I did add 1 tablespoon of salt early on, but that's the only salt that I added. So I'll add more salt as we go. When these beans are almost ready, I'll add a little bit more salt if they need it. So at this point, I don't anticipate me having to do anything for another couple of hours. So we'll bring you guys back then. Stay tuned. All right, so we're at the 3 hour and 40-minute mark. And I just want to bring you guys back real quick. So what I did is I rotated the pork shoulders. So now the flat portion of it is facing the firebox. That way I get a bit more color on that flat side. And now, since these pork shoulders have been smoking for nearly 4 hours, I went ahead and put the pot of beans under one of the pork shoulders to catch some of the drippings. Didn't want to do that at first because, you know, it's raw or it's raw meat, and especially raw pork. I didn't want that dripping into my beans, but now that they've been smoking for 4 hours, it's safe. So just going to spritz it real quick. And I got to tell you, they're looking really good. Just going to get a little bit more color on those shoulders, probably another hour and a half, and we'll come back and wrap them. Stay tuned. All right, we're at the 5 hour mark now. Exactly 5 hours. Let's take a look at these shoulders. And let's get an internal temperature here. Oh, hit a bone. All right, so I'm at 167 on this one. 168 on that one. So since I've got the color that I want, I'm going to go ahead and wrap them in foil. I'm going to go ahead and check on the beans. Make sure in the shot there. There we go. So getting some of the drippings now. Look at that, man. These beans are looking good. I'm going to go ahead and check the texture of these beans. Okay, still a little bit hard, but I'm good with that. In fact, probably a couple more hours, just kind of a slow roll there. Ooh, man, that's got some good flavor to it. So, again, the beans are still a little hard. I'm thinking in another couple of hours they'll be ready. I'm gonna go ahead and wrap these pork shoulders in foil, put them back in the smoker, and we'll see you guys inside. I'll let you know the total cook time at that point. Stay tuned. All right, guys, so the pork shoulder is ready. Total cook time was 8 hours, and it has been resting for 40 minutes. So I'm just putting on my silicone gloves here because this is gonna be hot. For some reason, these pork shoulders, when you smoke them, even when you let them rest, they're gonna be really hot. And I pulled the beans at the same time that I pulled the pork shoulder. So let's take a look at this. I did double wrap them. You can see the hole there. One thing when you're testing with the probe, you might end up with a piece of foil on the meat, so just look out for that. You can see it right through the foil there. Oh yes. I gotta tell you guys, it smells really, really good. So watch this. Look at that. Absolutely perfect. There's a bone. Nice and clean. Look at that. Just beautiful. That's what I was looking for. I'm gonna go ahead and pull this and I'll bring you guys back. Stay tuned. All right, so I went ahead and shredded the pulled pork here. And one thing that I like to do, because you're gonna get some nice flavor on the outside, but just add some of the rub that you use on the outside. Again, I'm using this Our Butts Are Smoking, the Ozark Heat. Just sprinkle some in there. Just like that. And go ahead and mix it all together. Gives it a little bit extra flavor. Mix it up really good. Man, this smells amazing. Nice smoke ring throughout the entire shoulder. My dog is working his way up the stairs. He can smell this. Okay, so here's our beans. Again, the total cook time on the beans was actually 9 hours or 9.5 hours, because I did boil the beans for about an hour and a half before I put them in the smoker. So this is what they look like here. Look at that. And I did add 3 more cups of water towards the end there. But look at that. The jalapenos have pretty much dissolved. The onions are gone. The green bell peppers. Okay. So here's the next step. Just grab a couple of handfuls of the pulled pork. Let's call it 3, maybe 3 cups, maybe 4 cups. Now you want your beans with enough liquid, because that pork is going to absorb a lot of the juice from the beans here. Okay, just mix it up really good. I gotta tell you, on a nice cool night, this is gonna be perfect. Look at that big old chunk in there. Man, it smells good. Now the beans did need a little bit more salt, so I added half a tablespoon of salt. Okay, look at that. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All right. Next up is grab yourself a nice big bowl. Pour some of this pork and beans inside your bowl, Texas style pork and beans. Maybe a couple ladles there. I'll save some pork as a topping, just like that. We got ourselves a nice Texas toast. Yeah, buddy. Let's give it a try. Stay tuned. All right, let's give these Texas style pork and beans a try. Again, got some pulled pork on the top, got some pulled pork in the beans with all those amazing flavors, those ingredients that we added earlier. And I can't wait to try it. I'm gonna try it without the pulled pork on the top, just like this. I got some toast here with some butter. Here we go. Man, that is good. That is so good. A little bit of heat from the jalapenos, I think, and possibly the poblano. Good smoky flavor. This rub is absolutely amazing. Man, I got to tell you, this is really good. I'm glad I saved some of the pulled pork. Make some sandwiches. Man, that pulled pork, that rub, I got to tell you, was made for pork. Let's try this toast. Oh man, no garlic, just butter. This is absolutely amazing. Man, I couldn't have asked for a better dish. Thanks for watching. Hit that subscribe button. Till next time, Joe is Smokin Joe's Pit Barbecue. See ya.